So the first quarter of 2026 is coming to a close, and it's so crazy how quickly 2026 is just making her way downtown. Like, when was it okay for January to be so quick up and out of here, and now we're in April? January used to feel like an entire year already. And honestly, with us being in like some sort of like twilight zone, it's so crazy to even think about how many books that I've read so far this year. And I really don't think about it that much. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just go ahead and read, and I don't really think about all the progress that I made in my reading journey thus far. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing all 13 books that I read in January, February, and March. And hopefully this will inspire you to look through your own Q1, whether if it's looking back through all the books that you've read so far, or even if it's just looking back at the goals that you set for yourself at the beginning of the year and just seeing all the progress that you've made thus far. Even if it's just you showing up for yourself in the small ways, it all counts. Hello, Bookie Boo. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jazz. Hi, how are you? It is so nice to meet you. And if you're not new here and you came back to hang out, I love you. On this page, not only are you going to be entertained, but you're also going to get some fun book recs. And we're also going to be reading books blindly because I like to torture myself. And eventually, we'll become the best book friends that anyone could have.
The three best friends that anybody could have. We're the three best friends that anyone could have. We're the three best friends that anyone can have. And we'll never, ever, 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 ever leave each other.
We're already besties, like, come on. So if anything about that sounds cool or interesting to you, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to hang out some more, make sure you follow me on my other socials, Instagram and TikTok. Like, it's a lot of the same stuff, but we'll hang out a lot more there. It's short form, straight to the point. If you're that kind of guy or gal, hit me up on there and do me a favor and follow and join the fun. So in January, I actually read 6 books. I read 1 romance and 5 thrillers. I already know what type of January I was having just based off of the genres alone. But honestly, I feel like that month was a really good reading month. Not only did I read way more than I expected, but I also did a 24-hour readathon. You could check out the video right up here. It also pushed me as a reader, but I also found 2 5-star reads back to back. I know, shocker. But let's go ahead and talk about them. So the first book I read was Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh. And I was honestly pleasantly surprised about this one. If you follow me on TikTok, you already know that I have a series called The Blind Book Draft, where I draft books blindly from my TBR jar, where I make my predictions on the vibe of this book and also the rating. And honestly, I lowballed the rating when I first did it, but this was a solid 4.75 star for me. Like, I feel like this book can easily be adapted. I feel like this book really had me in a chokehold, and I was just ripping through this. It kind of gave me the vibes of the movie with J-Lo and Viola Davis, where 2 women were experiencing loss and they were actually helping each other get through the loss, but it kind of takes like a really twisty turn. I'm just gonna be real with you. I'm actually pretty good at figuring out what the twists are. But with this book, like, I didn't have it. Like, I just didn't know what was happening. The only thing that I found out towards the end was that the guy that was helping the girl, like, I knew who he was. Like, it was just something was fishy about him. But I actually thought that this was such an amazing book. I couldn't put it down. And it was a quick, fast-paced read. And I definitely recommend it to anyone that will listen. Okay, so the next book that I read was The Art of the Scandal. And I'm not gonna lie, this book kind of disappointed me because everyone kept saying that this reminded them of Scandal, the TV show with Kerry Washington. And I was expecting more of that. I was expecting more of some Scandal. And it didn't give what it was supposed to have gave. Now, when I was reading this, I was in the middle of some unfortunate events, meaning Shark Week. And everyone who knows me knows that during Shark Week, I'm just no good when it comes to doing anything. Sometimes I even forget how to read during that time. But with this book, like, I felt like it took me way longer to read because of that, but also because like it just wasn't what I was expecting. The romance in here, it was cutesy, you know. They actually have a bond. They actually can understand each other a lot more than her own husband could understand her. But I don't know, something about this book just didn't have me in the chokehold that I need a romance to do, especially a Black romance. From what I understand, this is Regina Black's debut novel. And for it to be a debut novel, I feel like that makes perfect sense. But I don't know, like I said, this book was kind of steamy, kind of not. The blurb by Tia Williams says, wildly steamy, utterly heartwarming. And I didn't get that personally, but I actually rated this a 3.75 star because I just expected so much more from this. And it also felt a little bit rushed to me. Maybe because like she didn't want it to drag on too much, but it just felt super rushed. And I feel like we needed a little bit more time with the FMC and the MMC to make the romance a little more heartwarming. I feel like we just needed a few more pages on them actually getting to know each other and actually delving deeper into their romance. But so the next book I actually read was A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. And I gave this one a 3-star because I feel like the author low-key gave us the truth in the beginning. And if you're anything like me with thrillers, like I want to be stumped all the way to the end. Like I want to think that I know what's going on, but I really don't know what's going on. And with this book, I felt like I knew who did it within the first few pages. And I also felt like it was like very unnecessarily long because of the fact that we knew the truth in the beginning. And I feel like it not wasted my time, but it kind of took more of my time than needed.
Feel me? There ain't nothing wrong with me, feel me? Nigga, you just hating, feel me?
But I really don't have a lot to say about this one. And I really don't want to have any spoilers in this wrap up. But I just wish that this was shorter. And I also wish that the author kind of played with us a little bit more with who done it. Like I said, in the first few pages, I already knew who did it. And I already knew that the daddy didn't do it because that would have there would be no point of this book. So if you're new to thrillers though, and you're just getting your feet wet with thrillers, I would recommend reading it. But if you're a vet like me, you can skip this one. And I heard so many good things about this book. Like I heard so many people say, oh my gosh, like this is the best. But I mean, like I said, if you're new to the genre, go ahead and pick it up. Now, the next book that I read was I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. And this was my first 5-star read of the year.
Oh my goodness.
If you've already watched a 24-hour readathon, you already know how I feel about this book. This book had me in shambles. I was stumped throughout the entire read. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know where it was taking us. I didn't know how it was going to end. And then by the end, I was stuck. This was such a great read. It was a short one, but a good one. And I would definitely recommend this to anyone that is interested in a good psychological thriller. Now, one thing I am going to tell you is to make sure you check the trigger warnings because I didn't. And I can't stop thinking about it whatsoever. The next 5-star that I had 2 back-to-back 5 stars. That for me, unheard of. Like honestly, my mom and my husband say that I rate books way too harshly, but I don't think so. I think I give everyone a fair chance. Everyone can get it. But the next book that I read was Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. This is my first Alice Feeney book, and this will not be my last. This had me moving through the pages. Like every single page, you know how like sometimes when you read a book, you wind up feeling like there are some throwaway pages. Like you're just like, okay, this really wasn't needed. We can kind of skip over that. Like this information wasn't needed. This was a waste. No. This book, every single page was worth it. Every single page was needed for the story. And I didn't know where we were going with this. I thought I knew. I didn't. I thought that the wife was this person, and I thought that they were using the husband's disability to do something else and doing. I didn't know. I did not know. But yeah, Alice Feeney, I was not familiar with her pen, but now that I am definitely going to be picking up some more. And I know that she came out with a new book not too long ago, and I think she's coming out with a new one this year. And girl, you can have all of my coins, okay? You can take it all. Just take it all. But this book was super, super, super twisty and turny, and I loved every minute of it. I'm a very visual person, so I literally saw everything that was happening in this book, and this book took me on a wild ride. So if you haven't read any Alice Feeney books, definitely make sure that you pick up Rock, Paper, Scissors. This book is another book that's living rent-free in my mind, and I loved it. So I think you'd love it too. So this next book I also read during the 24-hour readathon. It was also a psychological thriller, and it's called Lakewood by Megan Giddings. And this book had me question life. It had me question everything about everything. The blurb says that this is similar to Get Out, but I feel like it's also similar to not only Get Out, but also with the movie Sorry to Bother You and also the show Severance. And if you've seen any of those 3, you know that when you pick up this book, you are going to just be like the girl with the different equations just circling around her head while she's trying to figure out life. Like this book had me feeling crazy after reading this. And this was also very, very hard to read because even though this is considered a fiction book, it also kind of included the elements of different things that have happened in this country and beyond when it comes to Black people and Black bodies. This book actually made me even more angry with the human race. It really did. It really, really did, especially when it comes to us Black people. Okay. I said it. I'm not going to apologize for it because if you read this, no matter what color you are, no matter where you're from, you're going to be pissed. This was so beautifully done. I rated this a 4.75 star. This was so, 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 so good. Like I said, if you've watched Get Out, Severance, or Sorry to Bother You, this book is right up your alley. Now in February, I actually challenged myself to read 2 books a week every week in the month of February to celebrate Black History Month. And I read through different genres. But in February, I actually read 5 books. I read 2 thrillers / horror, 1 romance, 1 sci-fi. And for the first time ever, I attempted at reading a historical fiction. Historical fiction isn't my bag, I'm going to be honest, because it's very daunting for me to read something in that genre. And I thought, what better time than this during Black History Month? So I took a stab at it. But the first book that I read in the month of February is The Jigsaw Man. Whoo! This book was so good. I rated it a 4-star. It was a really great read. The only thing for me with this book is I felt like it ended off with a cliffhanger, which is great. I'm not mad at it, but I feel like we didn't need 500 pages to get to that point. Because if it is a part of a series, it's going to continue and things like that. And it really didn't need that much information like a fantasy book would. I feel like 500 pages for a horror book that is a series is just too much, babe. It's too much. But I definitely want to get the rest of the series to see what it's all about. And honestly, I had this on my shelf for, I want to say like maybe over 3 years by that point. And I don't know why I didn't pick it up sooner, but I'm so glad that I picked it up when I did, because this book will also have you at the edge of your seat. It also will make you question the things that you knew from the beginning of the book to the end. And I love me a good horror type of vibe, a good serial killer type of vibe. So if you're into like serial killers or like the copycat serial killer type of vibe, definitely pick this up. What a ride. Okay, so the next book that I read was All Her Little Secrets by Wanda M. Morris. And this book, I rated it a 4.5 stars. It was really good. It was a page turner from start to finish. And I really didn't expect for the person who did it to do it, but after reading it, it made so much sense. I love a book where they will mention the person often and they will give you so many reasons to why this person wouldn't do it. So many reasons to why this person isn't even a suspect. So many reasons why you shouldn't even look at that person's direction. But then once they reveal that that person did it, you're just like, that actually, it doesn't feel forced. It didn't feel like, oh, I'm trying to dupe this person. Boom, this is what happened and this is who did it. And then you're like, but why would they do that? Not this book. This book was so well written. I loved every minute of it. And honestly, it was also very heartbreaking to read because of the person who done it. You wouldn't have expected to do it, but they did it. And it was kind of heartbreaking. Not the fact that he did it, but the fact that he was so under the radar and the reasons why he did it. That was heartbreaking. But I love me a whodunit story. And not only did I love the fact that this was whodunit, but I also love that this was so validating and it without it feeling forced. Like this book didn't feel forceful at all in any capacity when it came to the person who did it, when it came to the thrilling aspects and the twists and turns. It didn't feel forced even with like where some Black stories sometimes feel forced with trying to connect with Black readers. This didn't feel like that at all. I really, really enjoyed this. It was super fast paced. And this is, according to the back, it says this is a fast paced debut thriller for Miss Wanda. Girl, I'm going to be picking up more of your books, Miss Wanda, because for this to be your debut, 4.5 stars, I loved it. So, so, so good. Now, this next book was another 5-star for me, and I will not accept any slander for this book. None. And if you have any slander in the comments to say about this book, you can go on your merry way. We are no longer friends. But the book that I'm talking about is Only for the Weak by Natasha Bishop. Y'all, this book was so, so good. It had me kicking my feet, swooning, blushing. And it's really hard for a romance book to do that for me. And honestly, I like romance, but I'm a huge fan of Black romance. Black romance over any other romance. I said what I said. But this book had me in a chokehold. I zipped through this. I felt like, you know how like a lot of times people try to see themselves in the character and try to put themselves in the character's shoes as they're reading? I don't do that, but I saw myself in this FMC. Like there were so many things that she had went through, so many issues that she was dealing with that I have and still am going through. And this Rome, The love that he had for Janelle. Child, Janelle. Me and Janelle, we are literally like everything that she was going through, everything that she was thinking through what she was going through. Her always basically being thought of last. Another book that felt validating. This was such a great read. If you love hot, steamy, like going on vacation, forbidden romance type vibe, Natasha Bishop, what do you put in this? What did you put in this? Oh my gosh, you're coming out with a new book this month. The second one of the Forever Falling series. You're coming out with a new book this month? Child, the new release Tuesday, I am going to be at the nearest bookstore immediately. This book really has my heart. It is going to stay there. It is also going to stay in my mind rent free. This book was just so sexy. Like, not even with like the love scenes. It was just sexy, like with the wording and all that stuff. Like, it was just so good. The only thing that was kind of cringy for me though in this book was how like a lot of the love scenes, they made it seem like it was like the word choice of certain things, like being like, oh, your body's a sin, or oh, you devil. Like, I didn't really care for that much. Ew. But outside of that, this was a 5-star read. I can't wait for book 2. And honestly, you can go ahead and read this book, or you can read book 2. It doesn't matter what order you read it, because these are standalone series types of books. So if you read book 2, I think it's called The Art of Loving, book 2 that's coming out in April this month. If you read The Art of Loving first before you read this one, that's fine. But whatever you do, pick this up. Honestly, I'm not one to really reread books, even though I said in 2026 I was going to start doing that just so that I'm feeling the feelings that I felt from when I first read it all over again. I'm definitely going to be rereading this book. This book was so good. I have no other words. The next book that I read was Kindred, and this was another 5-star read. Like, so far this year and the book choices, top tier. Like, why am I already on my 4th 5-star of the year? I feel like there are so many conversations that can be had with this book, but I also feel like there are a lot of conversations that people don't necessarily want to have with this book. And I don't want to be the one to start it, because I feel like I am going to be looked at crazy. But I'm so used to that though, so I'll probably do it. But anyway, this book, it's so mind-bending. It made you just think through a lot about the history of this country. It also made you think about, if you were in this FMC shoes, what would you have done? So long story short, she basically was time traveling back into time. In order for her and her lineage to exist, she had to continue to save and protect an ancestor. And the ancestor wasn't a black ancestor. The ancestor was white. And not just some random white person, but a white ancestor in the antebellum South. And I don't know, for me, I would not be doing that. Like, if I had a white ancestor who enslaved my people, and we have been going through the repercussions of slavery leading up to this point, would I save that white ancestor just so that I can exist?
No, I would not.
This is another one that will live rent free. I don't know. I just feel like Octavia Butler was way before her time. Like, the story that she wrote with this, she was way before her time. This is my first Octavia Butler book. It's not my last. I already picked up another book of hers, and I also have another one. I think it's called Parable of the Sower, that's already on my shelf that I'm definitely going to be picking up this month. If you want to go through some emotional torture, pick this up. Okay? If you want to put yourself through some like agony, but also want a good read. Like, this was a phenomenal read. Definitely pick it up. So the next book that I read, which is actually historical fiction, is The Reformatory. And honestly, this was my first DNF of the year. Please don't come for me, okay? This is a soft DNF. And I say soft DNF because I feel like I'll go back to it, but just not right now. I feel like this book was very, very, very slow paced. I feel like it could have been a little bit faster. And also, like, I got to a point where I felt very weighed down with the information that was in here. And it was low-key depressing me. Like, I got to, what page is this? I got to page 273, chapter 21, and I was like, enough is enough. But from what I understand, Tananarive Due is the type of author who writes very slow pace, but by the end of it, it's so rewarding. During the time that I read this, it wasn't rewarding to me. Again, Shark Week isn't my friend during these times. So I just was like, I'm not going to continue to force myself to read through it, because if I continue to force myself to read through it, I'm going to probably fall into a reading slump, which I low-key did. I felt like I was falling into a mini one while reading through this, but even like after, I kind of was just like, I need to pause with reading because this took a lot out of me. But if you've read this book, definitely let me know in the comments how you felt about it, what you would rate it. If you think I should go ahead and pick this back up, definitely let me know, because I don't want to soft DNF it and then never return back to it, or soft DNF it and go back to it and regret my decisions. All right, so that was February. In March, I only read 2 books. And that is because, like I said, that last book put me in a reading slump. But the 2 books that I read, one was a thriller, the other one was a horror. And the first one that I read was The Butcher by Jennifer Hillier. This would have been a 5-star, but I actually rated this 4.25 stars. I felt like at the end they gave the bad guy what he wanted. And I feel like if you are a bad person, and we found out that you're a bad person, you've been getting whatever you've wanted all the way up to this point, why are we still giving it to you? Why are we still playing this game with you? Why are we still a part of this puzzle piece, this game that you have? I was not a fan of that. Like right in the beginning, like there's no guessing, there's no who done it. Like you know who did it, you know who the person is, you already know what is happening. But leading up to everybody else catching up was the ride of the century. I didn't realize that I liked books like that. Like I said, I'm normally one where with a thriller, I want to guess who did what, but this book didn't allow that. This book, like I said, already gave you the who did it, but it's about the story leading up to everyone else just catching on, honestly. And I actually like that kind of layout. Like that was really, really fun to read. And it also was like really, really fun too, because like when you're watching a film or a TV show and they already tell you who the person is that is the bad guy, you are just looking at the people around them like, how do you not see this? Look, what are you doing? That is how I felt with this book. If you are just getting your feet wet with thrillers and you want to get into the thriller genre, this is the type of book that you should be reading. It's also very graphic. So if you want to go ahead and look through the trigger warnings for this one too, I highly recommend it. But what I really love about Jennifer Hillier with this though, is that in the beginning, she gives you all the trigger warnings in the beginning of the book, and she tells you everything that is in it and why she put it in there and her thought process with putting stuff in there that may be offensive or a little bit triggering. So definitely make sure that you read through that before you read through this. But it was good. But again, I just didn't agree with how the ending went, if that makes sense. And then the last and final book that I read was Between Two Fires by Christopher Bowman. And I DNF'd it. This is my second DNF of the year. Just like with Reformatory, like I was reading through it and I knew that I wasn't enjoying it because I had stopped caring about certain things with this book. Like I just didn't want to know the ending. I didn't want to know anything about the excursion. I didn't want to know anything about the girl, why they had the girl, why she was with these men. I didn't care anymore. The second reason was because it just was so slow and I need a book that's just going to grab me by my throat and just be like,
come on here, let's go.
But this book was just not my cup of tea. If you've read this book, let me know what you've rated it. Let me know if I should pick this back up again, but I'm probably not because I'm actually going to return it today. Because this was just, I don't think I'm going to pick this book up again. I don't want to deter you from reading what's on your TBR. I'm just telling you why I DNF'd books and why I didn't like them. And I also felt like this story was very all over the place. Once you end one chapter and go into another, it kind of made it feel like a clean slate type of thing. Like it's like, okay, they went through this. Then you go to a new chapter. They're in a completely different area, completely different problem, completely different people. And I don't like that setup. I feel like I'm in the minority when I say that I didn't like this, but who cares?
Whoa, calm down, Jamal. Don't pull out the 9. It's just a joke. Come on. Don't shoot.
Yeah, those are all the books I read in Q1 of 2026. And honestly, I am very proud of myself. Like I read 13 books in 3 months. Who is she? Especially because like I was in a reading slump for a good like almost 3 years, but she's back with a vengeance, baby. Like, so she's so back. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know in the comments how many books you've read so far in Q1, what your overall yearly goal for reading is this year. I don't know if I said in the beginning, but my reading goal for this year is 50 books. And I feel like I'm on track, but a part of me feels like I may be a little bit behind because of March and the DNFs. But other than that, like this is all for fun and I can't wait to see what else I read in Q2. So yeah, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe and I'll catch you guys later. Bye, Bookies.